Uh, my grandmother died from it. My Uncle Roger died from it. My daddy's going through it. So I'm only human, so.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. We're gonna get through this. That's tough because
Floyd Mayweather has reportedly shared some deeply unsettling material on his Instagram story, and the whole thing has sparked a fresh wave of fear around the financial chaos already surrounding his name. The footage allegedly included disturbing letters, screenshots of threatening messages, and other suspicious items that he seemed to suggest were connected to real death threats. What makes the story even darker is the claim that one of the jewelry businesses Mayweather supposedly owes money to may be tied to a powerful organized crime figure operating behind the front of a legitimate company. Another business connected to the situation is said to be based outside the United States entirely. If the threats truly are coming from people like that, then this may be far bigger than an ordinary debt dispute. At that point, security cameras, bodyguards, and public statements may not be enough. If money is owed to the wrong people, the danger becomes very real, very fast, and far more complicated than a normal celebrity controversy.
You've spoken about the mother of your children who also passed. For you, who does have so many people depending on them, has also had a ton of success as well. How do those losses of people you love?
According to the story being told, things became even more alarming when Floyd's unresolved debts allegedly pushed one threatening figure to reveal himself more openly. Not with a direct appearance, but through intimidation, warnings, and subtle signs around Mayweather's Las Vegas property. Reports suggest unusual and frightening traces were noticed in different parts of the house, enough to make the situation feel personal and close. Once Floyd reportedly realized that these warning signs could represent a genuine threat, he is said to have removed family members from his home and sent them somewhere safer. What made the entire situation feel even more chilling was the growing suspicion that the problem might not only be external. Attention reportedly began turning towards someone inside his own circle, possibly even a member of his security team. And if that suspicion had any truth to it, then this was no longer just about outside enemies. It became a nightmare scenario, one where the threat might already be standing inside the gates.
But over the years, it's constantly going on the internet, take a shot at Floyd, take a shot at Floyd, take a shot at Floyd. Constantly be disrespectful, when all I ever been was respectful to try to help this fighter go as far as he could possibly go. That's all I ever did.
Yeah. This is the kind of pressure that forces a person to stop pretending everything is under control. It's the kind of situation where silence starts feeling dangerous, and speaking out begins to feel like the only option left. Floyd reportedly noticed details that made the entire ordeal look even stranger, almost as if someone close to him knew too much or had direct access to information they should never have had. That possibility appears to be one of the reasons he decided to take the issue public. On his Instagram story, he reportedly posted footage along with captions expressing serious concern before finally appearing in one of the clips to ask for help directly. One of the messages suggested that success can become poison in the eyes of other people. In another, he allegedly made it clear that he no longer saw the situation as a joke and believed both his life and the safety of his family were at risk. Whether people believe him or not, those are not small words coming from a public figure of Floyd's level.
Well, my thing is, I've always been there for him from day one. We had a game plan, and my game plan was to help him become world champion and take things to that next level. And I've always been there for him. And just over the years, you can see I've always been positive, always said great things about him, always pushed him to be great.
But the internet being the internet, sympathy was far from guaranteed. Instead of receiving an outpouring of support, Floyd was reportedly met with ridicule, suspicion, and a flood of mockery the moment the story began circulating online. Many people immediately questioned his motives. Some accused him of using fear as another form of attention, suggesting that he was only trying to stay relevant in the public eye. Others argued that a man who spent years showing off extreme wealth, talking loudly, and living in a way that invited envy should not be surprised if that same lifestyle eventually attracted danger. One of the harshest reactions basically laughed off the threats entirely and painted Floyd as a retired fighter whose ego couldn't handle life outside the spotlight. In that version of the story, the threats weren't real at all. They were just another dramatic stunt from a man people felt was desperate to keep himself in the headlines.
John Gotti's the third sister, Nicolette. Now, she was wrong for this. She threatened Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s daughter on IG, I believe. I saw it on Twitter.
Some of the comments got even nastier, especially from critics who have long felt that Mayweather built his image by flexing on people and looking down on everyone around him. To those voices, this wasn't a tragedy, it was karma. One person mocked the idea that the world's most famous money boxer was suddenly playing the victim. Another suggested that if Floyd was truly receiving death threats, then maybe it was finally time for him to step back from the trash talk, the boasting, and the endless noise on social media. Others framed it as a lesson in image management, saying that perhaps he should spend less time showing off and more time protecting what is left of his reputation. The comments weren't kind, and they made one thing brutally clear. Whether the threats were real or exaggerated, a large part of the public no longer views Floyd through the same untouchable lens he once enjoyed.
Read what she's talking about right here. Nicolette says she's coming for Floyd's daughter in 2 or 3 years. I'm thinking that maybe she'll train for 2 or 3 years and maybe she's hoping to get a fight with Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s daughter. Floyd Mayweather.
What makes this story more complicated is the kind of financial trouble Floyd has been linked to over the years. Some of his legal issues, such as tax-related problems, are matters involving the government and formal systems. But many of the other disputes tied to his name involve private individuals, businesses, and companies that may not always move with the patience or procedures of a federal agency. That opens the door to all kinds of speculation. If someone believes Floyd failed to pay for jewelry, backed out of agreements, or used questionable documentation in business dealings, then the anger may not stay limited to lawsuits and public complaints. That's why some reports began exploring whether the pressure on him could be tied to companies or creditors he had allegedly left unpaid. CNN was even cited in discussions about businesses believed to be among the major parties still owed money. And when you remember that Floyd has reportedly received threats before, including past issues connected to the Gotti name, the entire situation starts looking even more volatile.
He's not a boxer, and I don't think his daughter's getting in the ring anytime soon. His daughter's not getting in no ring? For what? It's Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s daughter. She don't gotta fight anyone. But Nicolette Gotti, she revealed herself. We know who she is right now.
One of the companies repeatedly brought up in this wider financial picture is Zinni Media Concept, a Nigerian business that reportedly signed an agreement with Floyd Mayweather back in 2017. According to public accounts of the case, the company paid Mayweather in advance for various appearances in Africa, including one in Nigeria. But the deal allegedly fell apart when Floyd canceled or withdrew and then failed to return the money that had already been paid. That dispute reportedly escalated into a legal battle, and over time it became one of the most talked about examples used by critics who argue that Mayweather's business image doesn't always match the way his deals actually end. The story also fed into a bigger point people keep making about Floyd, that the luxury, the image, and the non-stop display of wealth often seem to come with a trail of unresolved conflict behind them.
I wear is diamonds. Today, no diamonds today.
That's the Richard Mille.
No, I like to call this, people pronounce them different ways. Rashad Mill is what my jeweler told me, so. Exactly how you say it,
Rashad Mille.
So, and of course, this is a watch connoisseur, so he would know.
I'm wearing a black sub, and we've got one right here.
You know what, today, I'm gonna go black sub.
Is that which one do you prefer? Is that the one you
But
prefer?
today, I'm gonna go black sub.
Black sub. You guys gonna have matching one?
According to statements attributed to representatives from the company, the fallout became especially serious because Floyd allegedly terminated the agreement on his own and refused to refund the advance. Even more damaging was the claim that members of his legal team suggested the company had limited power because it was not based in the United States. If true, that kind of reasoning would make the whole thing look even worse, because it would suggest a deliberate attempt to take advantage of a foreign company's position rather than resolve the matter fairly. That narrative turned the dispute from a simple contract breakdown into something that looked far more cynical. It also strengthened the perception that Floyd's financial controversies are not isolated misunderstandings but repeated patterns in which powerful branding and celebrity status are used as leverage against smaller business partners.
Sticking more together, pushing each other to be great instead of arguing on social media. That's just my opinion. And push each other in a positive way. And, I found myself in the past
the younger Floyd Mayweather.
After multiple attempts to recover the money reportedly failed, Zinni Media took the matter to court, alleging breach of contract, unjust enrichment, and fraud. Over time, the legal decisions appeared to go heavily against Mayweather. By October 2023, reports said a California lower court ordered him to pay approximately $1.6 million in damages, along with more than $721,000 in prejudgment interest, around $16,000 in attorney fees, and additional costs, bringing the total close to $2.3 million. Floyd reportedly appealed, but the case did not simply disappear. Instead, it became another documented example used by critics who say that the money brand looks powerful in public while serious debts continue piling up in the background. Every ruling like that adds weight to the wider narrative, and every unpaid judgment creates another potential pressure point around his name.
Media. I don't do that anymore because I'm truly, truly blessed, way beyond belief. What's important to me right now is my real estate, my family, different things I'm involved with.
Then came another major development. In August 2024, reports indicated that the lower court's decision was upheld on appeal, meaning the company's victory remained intact while the debt continued growing with interest. According to the coverage, the amount was accruing at an annual rate of 10%, making the delay even more costly over time. There were also claims that legal avenues had opened for enforcement against specific luxury vehicles tied to Mayweather, including a 2015 Bugatti Veyron and a 2015 Ferrari LaFerrari Aperta, both cars reportedly worth more than the amount owed. If true, that detail is especially symbolic. For a man who built part of his image on extravagant collections and visible signs of wealth, the idea of creditors potentially targeting his exotic cars feels like more than a legal step. It feels like the public image itself being dragged into the debt battle.
So, y'all gotta know the difference between a hack bag and a Birkin bag. So this is a man's carry-on bag when you're traveling. So a lot of times when people see a male carrying a bag like this, they be like, oh, that's a Birkin. You have to know the difference. Look it up. HAC, it's a hack bag.
Now I'm here to talk to the people about one of my jewelers. And it's not one of my new jewelers, one of my low-key jewelers, Tony, at Pasha in Manhattan Beach, California. You guys need to come check him out. Now today, let me show you guys what I purchased from Tony. Tony, matter of fact, I don't need to tell him, you tell him.
Got a little rose gold sky dweller, chocolate dial, 40 karat pear shape, 1 carat each, tennis bracelet, only for the best of the champ.
And as if that were not enough, another wave of trouble reportedly arrived from the jewelry world, which is almost poetic in a dark way because jewelry has always been one of Floyd's most famous obsessions. For years, he has been seen draped in chains, watches, bracelets, and custom pieces designed to scream wealth from every angle. That visual excess helped define the Money Mayweather image. But according to one jeweler's lawsuit, the nickname may not reflect how smoothly the bills are actually paid behind the scenes. Reports from a federal case in Miami claimed that Mayweather and a close associate in the entertainment world owed around $4 million for unpaid jewelry. And once again, the allegation wasn't just late payment or confusion. It was framed as part of something much more serious, involving claims of organized misconduct and deliberate wrongdoing.
Going back and forth on the internet with different people. But I'm in a better place in my life right now. I couldn't ask to be in a better place. So the old Floyd Mayweather, when I used to go back and forth with people.
More specifically, the jeweler's complaint reportedly accused Mayweather and the other party of violating the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, an explosive allegation by any standard. The lawsuit also included accusations such as fraud, civil conspiracy, breach of contract, unjust enrichment, and theft. Those are the kind of words that instantly transform a celebrity debt story into something much darker and more legally dangerous. And according to the story as told by critics, Floyd still had not fully cleared that obligation either. Layered on top of this is another sensitive angle that added to tensions around his public image: his outspoken support for Israel during the Israel-Palestine conflict. Some have linked that political stance to previous hostility he faced in public. Whether that connection is direct or not, it has become part of the overall atmosphere around him, one where business disputes, public anger, and political backlash all seem to be colliding at once.
On this giveaway, what I'm gonna do is give 2 tickets away to my next exhibition in Mexico. But what I need everybody to do is follow all the instructions down low.
That sense of danger became even more visible when Mayweather was reportedly caught up in a chaotic incident at a shopping area, where tensions around him suddenly turned physical. The scene was described as a mob-like confrontation that unfolded while Floyd and his entourage were out in public, with some observers believing the situation may have been connected to anger over his support for Israel. The boxing icon, famous for flashy jewelry and high-end appearances, suddenly found himself in the middle of exactly the kind of public hostility that money and bodyguards cannot always fully control. What should have been a routine luxury outing reportedly turned into a security emergency, and the images from the scene only added to the growing sense that Floyd's life outside the ring is becoming more volatile than ever.
I'm bringing the people into my lifestyle, showing the people how I live. Now, I know you guys see me on a regular talking about real estate. Well, lately, I purchased 62 apartment buildings in New York City. And what I need you guys to do, slide over and check out the photos. It's not all 62 buildings, it's a few buildings, but guess what? All the buildings belong to me. I don't have no partners. And all the retail down low on my buildings all belong to me.
Witness descriptions painted a tense picture. Floyd, reportedly wearing a green jacket, appeared angry as security tried to move him quickly through the crowd and away from the danger. A source close to him insisted that he was never physically struck during the chaos, but the fact that he had to be rushed out by bodyguards and packed into a waiting black vehicle was alarming enough on its own. There were also claims that racial slurs were used during the incident, which made the atmosphere even uglier. Later, Floyd addressed the situation on Instagram, saying he had not been punched or touched and that what people were seeing was simply his security team doing their job. But even with that clarification, the overall image remained disturbing. A man who built his career on appearing impossible to rattle was suddenly being seen in moments of visible vulnerability.
Boxing legend Floyd Mayweather was jumped in the street as he went jewellery shopping in central London after doubling down on his support for Israel in a furious conflict about the war in Gaza. The ex-champion, who's 47, was strolling around the floor at Hatton Garden this afternoon at around 4:30 when he's said to have got into a dramatic confrontation with a number of jewellery dealers, including some who accused him of supporting genocide. What we do know is that the incident spiralled out into the street.
One witness who filmed part of the scene reportedly said the confrontation spilled from the store into the street and involved somewhere between 8 and 10 people actively going after Mayweather, while many more stood around watching it unfold. According to that account, his security team appeared outnumbered. That detail matters because it changes the tone completely. This wasn't just one angry person shouting or some isolated insult from a random passerby. It was described as a concentrated hostile situation that had the potential to spiral much further. Floyd later downplayed it, saying he was only in the UK for a short shopping trip and that he was perfectly fine. But those comments did little to erase the image of a retired champion being chased through a high-profile public area while his security struggled to.